let's say at least. And I think we're going live now. Okay, I'll wait for a moment. And I've written my welcome down because I'm known for waffling, so hopefully that will solve that issue. So, welcome everybody to this extraordinary meeting of the full council. I'm absolutely delighted to see so many of you in attendance this evening. Before we officially get underway, I'd like to share a little bit of information regarding how tonight's meeting will run. Unlike the recent meeting of the town's electors known as the town meeting, tonight is a formal meeting of the council, which you are invited to attend, meaning we do have to follow specific rules and regulations. I know many of you are here because you want to address the council and you are likely to have questions you'd like to ask. Please be assured there will be plenty of opportunity for you to do exactly that. As we do open up the floor, I would just like to gently remind everybody present that a council meeting is not a time or place for personal attacks. To ensure we have a productive evening, all comments and questions must remain focused on the specific matters the council is considering tonight. To make things a little more comfortable for members, I'm waiving the standing order that requires people to stand while speaking. If you would like to speak at the appropriate times, please just raise your hand clearly. To ensure everybody is heard, we will have only one person speaking at a time. Thank you for all your cooperation and thank you for being here to engage with your council tonight. And I'll go to the agenda now officially. The first item, sorry, I have to read that. This meeting obviously was called in accordance with Schedule 12, paragraph 10.2 of the Local Government Act 1972. The meeting is open to the press, public. Members of the public attending this meeting are advised that it may be filmed and recorded. Now we're going to come to the first item on the agenda, and that's to receive apologies. Do we have any apologies? Oh, apologies from Councillor Chris Clark. And can I have a proposal, please, that we accept that apology? Sally Ann Wadsworth. Do we have a second there? That's Jonathan Nichols. And can we have a vote, please? Unanimous. And I've been asked to add a note to this point. The office has started sending out electronic invitations to this meetings, and they would very much appreciate it if councillors responded to those electronic invitations so that they can prepare what's required for the meeting. Thank you. Okay, now we come to point number 2, agenda item number 2, and it's declarations of members' interests and applications for dispensations. And here is a reminder to members to disclose either a pecuniary interest or other interests in any item on the agenda. The clerk cannot advise members on this. Members are personally responsible for declaring an interest. Members are respectfully advised to read the Code of Conduct for more information. Councillors are also responsible for ensuring that their registers of interests are up to date and within 28 days of any change. So, are there any members here this evening who wish to declare any of what's been mentioned? No? Right, now we move to agenda item number 3, and that's for the co-option of 2 willing people who would like to join us on this council. One of them is Ben Callahan, and the other one is Dave Bromley. Sorry, David, it's because I know. Sorry, apologies, David. So, what we need to do, every member has seen the applications, and I assume you have, and this is the opportunity where you can put these willing participants on the spot and ask them any questions. Does anybody have any questions for the Councillor Ainsley?
Take it wrong. Nice to see you again all this time. It has been a long time. I just wondered what triggered you to apply now. It's really good to see you.
Being politics in your blood, you do miss the cut and thrust, the debate, and keeping, your finger on the pulse. And I've been doing it for years, and I've been on the white nerve, basically. So,
Yeah, I think we can all empathise with that. Thank you. I don't know the other councillors.
The other candidate is Ben Callaghan.
Ben, hi, Ben.
So everybody can see that big off.
So Ben, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just a distinguished record at RCC. Which committees did you sit on?
I sat on 2 scrutiny panels, and I chaired the scrutiny panel of the scrutiny panels.
Okay. That's a position I enjoyed. Did you enjoy that position?
Yeah, I did actually, yes.
Yeah.
Because you really got to have a look at what's going on behind the scenes in terms of the committees and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's very, very
So am I right in thinking those positions were abolished and it's now just one scrutiny committee?
I haven't kept up to date with it.
Okay, so when did you step down?
In 2019, was it 19?
Okay.
Yeah, just before COVID, which actually was not the best decision because otherwise I'd have been paid throughout COVID, which would be lovely. So yeah,
I'm sure you'd have refunded that.
not one of my best decisions, but no, that's when I stood down. So I served for 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Do the candidates have any questions? No? Okay, so I think we can. I will start with David first, and I will propose that the council accepts the application from David Bromley. Is there a seconder for that, please? Thank you. Could we have a show of hands for that? Okay, I think that was unanimous. Okay. And then I will also propose for Ben Callaghan. Is there a seconder for Ben Callaghan? Sally Ann Wadsworth. Can we have a show of hands for those who support the application? I think that's unanimous. Yep. So we have to now get the legalities out of the way. The 2 councillors will now, once they sign their papers, they will be councillors. We'll go with Melanie just for a few moments, so the meeting's adjourned for, say, 5 minutes.
That's it.
No. Come back with a beer, then we'll be
Well, I think that's probably why they got rid of that. That's probably why they got rid of that committee.
Yeah, no, there were 3 panels, one for adults and one for. And then there was an overall scrutiny of that lot, and that was cracked down to one scrutiny panel, which is a shame. They tried to squeeze it in. But who scrutinised the scrutiny?
Yeah. To the Victoria Hall, yes, but as I said, the power doesn't matter who you are, it's what you bring to the dance.
You want to make it easy, just where you are. Yes. Sorry.
Can't do anything, but I can sit here.
Oh, the 13th. I'm sorry.
So you're just on the corner,
Let's still get it. We are now going to reconvene the meeting. I don't want to use that. I'm not arguing for it. Okay, we reconvene the meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've reconvened the meeting.
Okay. I'd like to welcome our two new councillors and then just explain to the members of the public here. Although they're sitting at the table now as councillors this evening, we learned through our new local clerk that when we've been very keen in the past to get them to work straight away, we haven't actually been complying with the law. So unfortunately, they can only take part. They won't be able to vote this evening because they did not receive summons to the meeting because they weren't councillors. So they will be able to be fully fledged voting councillors in the next meeting. Okay. Now we move to item 4 to confirm the accuracies of the minutes of the annual town meeting, which was held on the 13th of May, 2026. Sorry, did I not say it? Okay, right. The annual meeting of the town council. We get a bit confused because we have a town meeting the day before. So not to confuse it, we're asking members to confirm the minutes of the annual meeting of the town council held on Wednesday, the 13th of May, 2026. Are there any comments? Councillor Ainsley?
Thank you very much indeed, sir. I seem to remember, please forgive me, but didn't we actually elect not to have a deputy chairman? Wasn't it on the agenda item? And I don't see it on the minutes.
Apologies, I missed it.
It wasn't supposed to be a trial. Just don't remember. Trying to remember whether I had actually seen it or not, and I didn't have time to check.
It was on, you're correct, it was on the agenda.
So,
It was different minutes.
Can we put that correction in that actually there was, that it was, whatever the words are, not carried, deferred, not carried, that actually didn't carry a deputy chairman.
It says no acceptance of Coleman.
Yeah, so I think it's the way I've worded it, perhaps it's just, you're not happy with that.
Sorry, show me where?
On the bottom of page 1, it's minute ref 2606, election of vice chairman, no acceptances for office fallen. Is it just the way that I've worded it?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that reflects what actually occurred, so yes, that's basically my observation.
Can you, I didn't quite catch what you were trying to put across.
I think
can you
that-
explain once again very clearly from Melanie what you believe happened.
Let's look, I would rather we went to the experts in the office and then came back with what should be the reason. If that's acceptable, I'm happy with that. But I wasn't certain that was the case. Thank you.
What we do.
Oh, well, if it doesn't get passed, then
Okay, is there any other comments? Okay, do we have a proposal?
Proposing on
No, sorry. Yes.
minutes.
Proposing to accept the minutes.
As they are.
As they are.
Yeah.
I'll second that. Do we have a vote, please? Four, and those against? Is there any abstention? No, okay. So we sort. Okay. Well, I'm looking at the wrong. We're going back to the last meeting. Sorry about this. Right. Okay, now we move to item 5, and this is deputations from the members of the public. It's an opportunity for members of the public to speak in accordance with standing orders 3F and 3G. Each member of the public is given an opportunity to speak on the matters on the agenda for no more than 3 minutes. If a question is asked, the chairman of the meeting may direct that a written or oral response is given. A person shall raise their hand when requesting to speak. A person who speaks at a meeting shall direct all their comments to the chairperson of the meeting. Only one person is permitted to speak at a time. If more than one person wants to speak, the chairperson of the meeting shall direct the order of speaking. Standing orders give a period of time designated for public participation at a meeting in accordance with Standing Order 3G. They shall not exceed 15 minutes unless directed by the chairperson of the meeting. So, as chairman, I've suspended Standing Order 3G to give all an opportunity to speak. So, we can now move on to take any questions or comments on any matter that's before the council this evening. And I saw now Councillor Ben Callahan, but it's a bit awkward that he's not a member. Can I leave you till
Absolutely.
the point of the agenda item, because you're no longer a member of the public, so.
Of course, I was still a member of the public.
You're still able to appear as a member of the public until next week.
No, it's confusing.
Okay, well, we're obviously sorry for that, but if you would like to speak, please.
I'm speaking on the matter of the proposal for the feasibility study. That's what my deputation is about. And I'd like to state this, and I'm speaking on behalf of one of the people who can't make it actually tonight. It goes as follows. There has been no publicly stated purpose for the feasibility study, and it was completely inappropriate for a meeting at which the proposal for the feasibility study and the spending of more than 25,000 was approved. Sorry, my
Quiet, a bit slower and we can't hear.
too quiet.
No, yes, too fast.
Shall I go to the side? I will stand over here. I wasn't going to stand, but I'm there we go. Do you need me to start again? Right, okay. This is on behalf of one of the residents of Cricket Lords who couldn't be here at the meeting tonight. And it's in relation to the proposal for the feasibility study. And it goes as follows. There has been no publicly stated purpose for the feasibility study, and it was completely inappropriate at the meeting at which the proposal for the feasibility study and the spending of more than 25,000 was approved and was not open to the public. This kind of behaviour erodes the residents' faith in this council. There should have been public consultation before committing £25,000 of open residents' money, as it is not good use of public funds and indeed our money. The sports facilities and redevelopment strategy document was made confidential, contrary to the Local Government Act 1972 and Freedom of Information Act 2000. Settled law now requires exemption only in exceptional circumstances, and we believe that it does not meet the test for exemption. On the agenda for the meeting, it was stated, matters for consideration in private to resolve that press and public be excluded from the meeting during consideration of the following items on the grounds that they relate to individuals and the financial affairs of persons. This information is classed as exempt under paragraphs 1, 2 and 3 of Schedule 12A, Section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972. The section of law referred is as follows. For those that don't know, the paragraphs that define exempt information are paragraph 1, information relating to any individual. This matter is not about individual persons, but instead the open community. Paragraph 2, information that likely reveals an individual's identity. Again, there shouldn't be any reference to an individual. Paragraph 3, information regarding the financial or business affairs of any particular person, including the authority itself. If this refers to the authority's finances, this should be public anyway. If it's personal, again, there is no justification for discussing personal finances at a public meeting, which would have nothing to do with this matter. For these exemptions to apply, the council must pass a public interest test, ensuring that maintaining confidentiality outweighs the public interest in disclosure. There was no requirement for personal details to be contained within the proposal for the feasibility study, and such details could have been redacted anyway in order that the proposal could have been made public. It seems that putting personal and or financial details in the proposal was used as an excuse to justify making the item exempt. Given the impact that this matter will have on the residents of Oakham, it does not pass the public interest test. We contend that the justification for exemption was invalid and therefore the original proposal also invalid. Thank you.
Thank you. Some people in the room were suggesting that we've gone over the 3-minute time. If they listened to what I said, I'd suspended the standing order, which I will judge when it's like people did to me. If someone repeats themselves, then I would say you've had enough. But when they're reading something prepared, which I'm hoping they're going to leave with the clerk, that I will allow them to finish. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to speak, please? The gentleman next to you put his hand up first. Excuse me, sir, you're required to give your name and to say that you're an Oakham resident, if you are.
I'm an Oakham resident.
Can we have your name, please? You can say Mr. whatever.
I've got everything on the script to tie in with 3 minutes.
No,
My name is Alan Jones.
That's fine, sir. We have to do it, as I said, it's not like the town meeting. We have to follow rules. So you can now start, please.
So, formal objection to the feasibility study. My name's Alan Jones. I'm speaking in my capacity as a treasurer of Oakham Bowling Club. On behalf of our members, which is over 100 by the way, I wish to register our formal objection to this feasibility study, its cost, and our possible relocation. We oppose this study based on 4 critical grounds. Lack of democracy. The decision to approve this study was made during a confidential session behind closed doors. This total lack of transparency gave our club no prior notice or opportunity for involvement, which violates standard democratic processes. Point 2, fiscally irresponsible. Allocating 15,000 of town council funds, I'm not counting the other 10, to this study is entirely speculative This money risks being completely wasted on an unnecessary study, diverting crucial funding away from immediate, tangible community needs. Point 3, contradiction of official survey. The instigation of this study contradicts the council's own structural evidence. I'm talking about the Bowls Club. The surveyor's overall assessment of our facility in the report states the entire site is generally in good condition. We have no recommendations for extensive refurbishment of this building. Because our current home is structurally sound, there's no logical or operational reason to investigate alternative sites for the Bowls Club. And the final point, this is really a disregard of a previous council proposal. The minutes of Oakham Town Council meeting March 13th, 2024 stated there was no justification for relocation. This motion was proposed, seconded, and carried. The council's own conclusion that relocation is unjustified remains just as valid today as it was then. So my conclusion, Oakham Bowling Club has proudly served the community at the Vale for 116 years. We wish wholeheartedly to remain there. We urge the council to vote the proposal before you tonight, abandon this study forever, and fully support the public health and social facilities we provide at the Vale. That, and only that, will be in the best interest of the people of Oakham.
Thank you, sir. And apologies for the confusion at the beginning, because normally we would ask people to give their name first. And I didn't know that you'd included it in your report. Sometimes people do start just. So please accept my apologies. The lady sitting in the pink was
Pat
next.
Monroe, spelled M-U-R-O. Sorry. Yes, so we get that straight. At stake are two well-patronised sports clubs. This gentleman to my left has just spoken very eloquently about the Bowls Club. I would like to speak on behalf of the tennis club, which I think is equally as important, in a county which is bereft of sports and leisure facilities. There is no public swimming pool in Rutland, and there are no public gym facilities, both having been closed recently. The tennis and bowls club bring the community together, young and old, and very old, playing an enormous part in maintaining high levels of fitness and mental health. It is important, more important than ever, that these clubs are protected and supported. Being situated where they are, access is easy, by foot or by bicycle, important when trying to minimise the carbon footprint of our town. It also encourages engagement by minimising reliance on motorised transport. Thank you.
Thank you. And the gentleman in the front there, please.
I'm Ed Carlisle, I'm the chair of the tennis club, Oakham Tennis Club. You know, we've got my details on there, haven't you? I've already spoken before about the main point in the matter of public record, but I think following the previous meeting, there's been a lot of discussion and more telling worry and concern from members about the process and how things are being done. And this, more than anything, should be a cause for concern for councillors who ultimately are here to ensure that Oakham is the best place it can be. And that's not the perception following this issue. It's important to note that one of the reasons for the feasibility study is to raise funds for a big bill presented to a council as a result of the site survey that was commissioned. and I'd like to clarify a few points on this. At no point has the tennis club presented a big bill to the council. For one, we haven't got the facilities to do so, but more so, there is no big bill. Instead, it's worth noting the following. The survey report did not understand the construction of the tennis clubhouse, and this is being currently challenged by my vice chair. With building regulations, planning permission, and the correct level of insulation and completion of the roof repair, we estimate a cost of around £50,000 to £60,000. No funding will be required from the council, as we would either fundraise, use our own reserves, and or apply for Section 405 funding. The only bill that's likely to be presented is perhaps an increase in our rates as a result of the improved facilities. And if we wanted to restart on the existing site with a new clubhouse, by going down the costly route of modular prefabricated buildings, we can access these from as little as £25,000, again with no cost to the council. Both of those figures are far removed from the cited figure of £145,000. So in other words, there is absolute commitment from our club and the Paul's Club to the existing site, the existing arrangements, and upgrading our facilities, with a commitment from us to do the research, the applications, and the planning. The feasibility study appears to be based on a false premise, has no clear vision, and no community mandate. Our plans are clear, concrete, achievable, possible, and based on the recent reaction and activity, are very much based on a mandate from local people, local community, and the members of the tennis and golf space.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak?
Amanda Smart, resident of Oakham. According to Councillor Ainsley at the last meeting, the feasibility study for the clubs will cost between £25,000 and £40,000. When this amount is involved, it should be published on the Tenders and Contracts section of the Oakham Town Council website, which it is not. This is contrary to Oakham Town Council policy and does not appear to align with the openness aspect of the 7 principles of public life, which all councillors should be adhering to, as set out in Oakham Town Council's own code of conduct. However, that being said, if, as we are led to believe, the aim of the study is to unlock land for housing development, this is not the job of Oakham Town Council. Its job is to act on behalf of the people of Oakham. One of the outcomes of the study, instructed by Councillor Ainsley, would be the destruction of 2 very well established and very well used sports clubs. This is contrary to one of the key issues of the Oakham and Barleythorpe Neighbourhood Plan, 3.3, objective number 13, to actively encourage local shops and businesses that support tourism, leisure and crafts. And this is to ensure objective 15, which that everyone in Oakham and Barleythorpe has access to services which allow them to lead fulfilled lives in a safe and caring community of which they are proud. Oakham Town Council should be acting in the interests of the Oakham community. Thank you.
Can I just say, for clarification, one point you raised, the town council hasn't made any decision on housing development. That was a comment that was made by a member, which was then shared. So the council has not officially looked at that at all. Is there anybody else? The lady.
I have 2 points I'd like to make. Firstly, the UK Shared Prosperity Fund states legitimate uses of this money are along 3 main investment streams: communities in place, supporting local business and people and skills. The proposed feasibility study does not appear to fall clearly within any of these categories. The authority overseeing the fund has been advised and asked whether they are aware of the proposed use of the funding. Any misuse of public funds will be attributed solely to the person or persons responsible, and if necessary, will be raised in a official complaint and escalated accordingly. Secondly, from my perspective, working within healthcare for many years, I see firsthand how important community-based facilities are for people of all ages, not only just physical health, but mental well-being, independence, and social connections. Rutland has a significantly older population than the national average, with around 25% of the residents aged over 65, and that number continues to grow. Facilities such as the bowls club, the tennis clubs are incredibly important community assets. They provide opportunity for exercise, social interactions, a routine for residents of all generations, from young people learning sport and teamwork to older residents maintaining mobility, balance, confidence, and independence. As someone working within the medical field, I regularly see the impact that loneliness, inactivity, reduced mobility can have on both physical and mental health. Clubs such as these are simply not just recreational facilities. They play an important preventative role in supporting health and well-being across the community we open. Protecting and supporting spaces that encourage activity, connection, community involvement should be seen as an investment in the long-term well-being of our town itself. And I also would like to add a personal note. My mother had a fall which you can see from her face, and I've been encouraging her, she's 70 years old, to use facilities of Oakham. And I would like to say thank you personally to Bowls Club, who welcomed her with open arms recently, and she's been using that facility and myself, which is fabulous. And I still find it terrible that anyone would even deem a feasibility study appropriate.
Thank you. The gentleman.
I will start Oakham resident. I'm reading this on behalf of somebody probably here tonight. It was stated at the meeting that O2C has a debt of £145,000 stemming from the estimates to refurbish or rebuild the tennis club. That was incorrect. Nothing has been spent yet. Therefore, the proposal for the feasibility study was based on this information as to refurbishment cost, so it should be completely rejected. There was no consultation with either of the clubs, which was possibly where there was this information. From the estimate on the proposal for the feasibility study was based, it is our contention that just the proportion of the cost is represented by critical works, namely roof felt repairs of 20,000, timber repairs 8,000, windshield repairs 3,000, a total of 31,000. Very different from the £145,000 quota. Whilst the 2028 energy standards will require most likely a new building, this can be funded through the tennis club funds, grants, and public fundraising. It certainly does not require at great cost new facilities to be created. And it's also worth mentioning, reminding everyone in the room what the 7 principles of public life are. They are selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? I think that's. Oh, sorry.
Final bit just to say at the end, if that's all right. So my name's Lucy Byrne-Jones. I'm an Oakham resident here. So both the bowling club and the tennis club have provided the community with sports facilities, as we've heard, for well over 100 years now, involving a full range of ages, from small children right up to the elderly. My daughter, as an example, has been playing tennis at tennis courts since she was 3, my husband, and many other people that we know. The facilities are utilised by over 500 members in total, along with non-members, schools and coaching sessions. This provides an invaluable resource, as we've heard, maintaining physical and mental health for people with AVM. From a financial perspective, there is no basis for removing of the two clubs, and there doesn't have to be a financial liability to Oakham Town Council either. One solution could be to give the land to the two clubs with the strict no-build covenants and legal agreements that the entire plot of land be used solely for sports recreation. This would remove the financial responsibility of Oakham Town Council for maintenance. What is badly needed right now is communication with both clubs, specifically in relation to tennis club, so that remedial works can take place there. As we've heard, there's solutions and ways that we could do that without having to spend the money that has been stated. The actions of Oakham Town Council are contrary to the policy of open government. More importantly, contrary to the council's own mission. I'm sure you're all aware of it, but I'm just going to read a little bit from that mission, which I think is quite pertinent. So, to improve the quality of life for residents and businesses, they aim to provide transparent, accountable local government while effectively representing the community. Their core focus includes protecting local communities, preserving the town's environment, and promoting sustainable economic and social well-being. The core aims and objectives are 3 points: community engagement, which I think we've heard plenty of tonight, to keep the residents informed, represent their views, and work closely with local voluntary businesses and community groups to foster a vibrant town life. Number 2 is environment, to preserve the rural, built, and natural environments of Oakham, and strive for the town to become carbon neutral by 2045. Again, a point that was made by another resident around the facilities being central to the town. We all know that some facilities can be moved outside, but that's going to mean more cars, more pollution, and it's not going to be as accessible by other residents. Number 3, amenities and events. So to protect, maintain, and enhance local amenities and green spaces, whilst hosting a sustainable and varied programme of outdoor events. So, in conclusion, and in light of everything that's been talked about this evening, we, the residents, fully support the proposal not to commence phase 1 of the feasibility study, and most certainly not to use our money in the form of the £10,000 pot and the £15,000 from general reserves to support phase 1 of activities. We now urge all councillors to think of Oakham and its residents and support this proposal.
Okay, is there anybody else? I don't want to miss anybody out. Okay, before we move on, thank you very much for your input. I noticed that most of you have got some form of written deputation. Before you leave, would it be possible that Melanie could photocopy that, and that would help her with the minutes greatly, please? So it would be very helpful to have that on record. Thank you. Now we're going to move on to item number 6. Sorry, actually, what was supposed to be before I move on to item number 6. When there are deputations, it's normal for if there was any councillors who had any questions about or comments of what was said.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody, truly, for their deputation. I recognise the depth of feeling, but I must stress a couple of things. And then I'm going to make a request first, and that is simply that the written deputations would be extremely useful so that we can go through them. Secondly, I'd like to make the point that a feasibility study is exactly that. There is no predetermination of the outcome. So,
sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm not supposed to call you ladies and gentlemen, but you mustn't interrupt.
I'm sorry, it was a spontaneous reaction.
Yeah.
so there has been leakage of the exempt paper, which has predetermined some of the possibilities that may or may not be accepted. I mean, I agree, there are solutions. Gifting the land is a possibility. Redeveloping the clubs in situ is a possibility. Rebuilding the tennis club in total is a possibility. But there are so many possibilities. And the potential build for the buildings that we are leasing, which we have responsibility, is quite large. So it seems to me that it's perfectly reasonable to conduct a feasibility study. What has happened is that the information was leaked prematurely. And if you look at the resolutions that came out of that meeting, number 4 was very clearly consult with the tennis club and the bowls club as part of the feasibility study. So in the first instance, it doesn't seem unreasonable to me to actually determine what a course of action we're going to take, to pull together any necessary funding for that action, and then to present that to the tennis and the bowls club. But having said all of that, it's wonderful to see the reaction, I have to say. I find it really warming that actually there is so much interaction. It's unfortunate that it's been tainted by misinformation at the beginning. Thank you.
Are we allowed to answer to that or not? Are we still in deputation phase or not?
Look, this is the question and answer session.
No, I think people have said you may get an opportunity later in the meeting if there are some questions of what you've heard. It depends on how things go. But I think because deputation, you could have asked questions during deputations, but I think that definitely had an opportunity. Okay, so now
Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask? Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to item number 6, and this is to resurrect the mayoral charity for the year. I think COVID stopped it because obviously you couldn't go out rattling a bucket and things like that. So it's my intention this year to bring it back, and the agenda is to discuss the merits of the Lions Club or suggest an alternative local charity that aligns with the chairman's focus on residents' welfare. So I'm asking councillors for their help to approve a single lead charity for the 2026-2027 term and authorise the mayor to begin branding and marketing for the upcoming fundraising events. So I do have, obviously it's my paper, I'm supposed to make the proposal at this stage. I think I've lost that. Okay. So first of all, the council is requested to discuss the merits of the Lions Club or suggest an alternative local charity that aligns with the chairman's focus on resident welfare. Is there any suggestions from members, please? Councillor Ainsley.
Yeah, I think it would be, especially in light of the deputation, to actually look at what we could do for the sports within Oakham Town. And I think that would be very good. I don't have instant solutions, but I do think that would be a good thing to do, especially given the strength of the union. That we look at what we can and can't do. I would think of Sports for All, but that's a national.
No, I'd like it to be local.
Well, that's what I want to say.
Okay, that's fine. Councillor Harris.
Is there a cost to this? Do we have a budget for this? Is it voluntary?
No, it just raises money. There's no cost to the council. We would start once the council agrees we can do it. I have friends who are comes to the bank offices with buckets. That's a start, that's the first, but I need your consent to do that.
Can I raise one more question?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, thank you. You turned down the £2,000 chairman allowance because of concerns about your income. What Do you think that that might have been better spent on one of these charities?
You're not allowed to use your allowance for charitable
You can
purposes.
use it whatever you want.
No, there's lots of rules I've looked. I
Okay.
don't know how they enforce it, Councillor Ainsley, but you'd be surprised at what it says you can't spend your allowance on. Because it dates back to the good old days. But anyway, sorry. So are you proposing some sports charity or
I would like to propose that we actually investigate the feasibility of looking at the sports facilities of the sports clubs and the sports charities within Oakham that we could actually support. I think that's everything touches on, particularly when it comes to health and aging populations such and such. So I think that should be, and I think this paper should come back. Once we've actually examined the possibilities other than the Lions Club. Not that it's not a good institution.
I have included other lists like the Rotary and just things
So
like
I would like to see sports facilities of some description added to that list and look for the office at the time to investigate that. And I don't mind doing my own research.
Councillor Wadsworth.
At the end of the day, you're the mayor, it's your decision. So if you're happy to go along with the Lions, then I'm happy to go along with the Lions.
Okay,
And I don't think you should be going down any other routes. It's your decision and you should make it. That's all.
It's no
I
emotion
thought because
before,
we would be asking the council to be involved in things, it should have been a corporate decision. And I didn't think it was going to turn into something as difficult as this evening. But bearing that in mind, Councillor Ainsley has, I think, put a proposal.
I can totally propose it.
If you wish to, please do that, and then we'll see if we get a seconder.
So the proposal that's currently on the table is that we discuss the merits of the Lions Club or suggest an alternative local charity. I'm suggesting that we look at the merits of a local charity that actually supports the sports facilities that we currently have and do not have within Oakham. So,
Is that the proposal?
yes.
Okay, I accept that.
Could I ask for quiet, please? Thank you.
We can, say for instance, the school wants a new sports hall. We could contribute towards that, and that could be considered a charitable thing. So it's for all of us to decide whether we want to look into that. So there is a proposal on the table that we look into. Did you get the proposal? If you could repeat it, and then I'll ask for a second, please.
So Councillor Ainsley is proposing that we look into other sports charities that we can.
Local sports charities.
Local sports charities that we can,
Or organisations.
or organisations that we can approve as the mayor's charity.
Yes, so is there a seconder for that, please? Councillor Harris. So, I think we'll just go to the vote on that. I know I'm supposed to ask for comments, but I think we've already had a lot of comments on that. I don't know if anyone wants to comment, just say now, quickly, but I'd rather just go to the vote if possible. So can we have a show of hands for those who support that proposal? 3. And those against?
What's in your court, Martin?
Okay, well, I will, obviously I voted against, so I have to stick with that vote, that motion is for Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you.
Okay, this is what we call democracy in action. Okay, so I'm Sally Ann Wadsworth. Are you proposing that the mayor's charity will be supporting the Lions throughout the next year?
Yes.
Not really come from the council, that's what we're asking. So, and
I'll do it.
I will second that. Are there
So is that
any?
an amendment to the motion that's actually proposed? Because it says or suggest an alternative, so we are dismissing the alternative. And then we're just going straight to the Lions Club. Is that what we're proposing? That's a change to the motion.
Well, I thought we'd already discussed
Well, just asking whether that has changed.
It's only a rough one.
I better pause then, and just say, is there any other suggestions? Sorry, I got that wrong. Are there any other suggestions before we accept the proposal of the Lions Club? There doesn't appear to be, so I will second Sally Ann Wadsworth's proposal for the mayor and the council will support the Lions charity for the period of 2026 to 2027. And I think they will be very happy. Sorry? Sorry, I'm just keen to go on. Yes, can we have a vote, please, on those who support it? So we have 3 for those against. 1. And those abstaining? Okay, fine. So that motion is carried. That comes under the approving of the single lead charity. Right, and then the last proposal is to.
Or am I wrong?
There's 2 abstentions and 1 vote.
Okay, so that is carried.
Yes, it's carried, yes. Okay, then the last proposal is that you authorise the mayor to begin the branding and the marketing for the upcoming fundraising events, and for clarification, it will not cost the council any money.
You've got a proposal?
Do I have a proposal? And I'll second it. And do we have a vote, please? Show of hands, please, those who support it. It's 3. Those against? 1 against. 2 against, sorry. And any abstentions? That's carried, isn't it? Okay, right. Thank you very much for that. I think the Lions will be very happy that we're supported, and I personally know from recommendations that I've made to them that they genuinely help local residents. I'm being asked to remind you that although it's difficult, and I've been in that position and get told off, that you are in a council meeting and you can't be speaking much yourself. Okay, sorry man, I shouldn't even be apologising, but I'm too soft to be a boss. Okay, so now we're moving on to what really is the main point of the meeting this evening, and that is item number 7.
Before we start, can I raise a point of order on item 7?
You may.
Okay. So, for the record, I'd like to raise a point of order before item 7 is taken. I need to place a procedural matter on the record. I can give you a written copy of what I'm saying, so no problem. The exempt feasibility paper that underpins item 7 and is actually the pin on which item 7 is hinged, has not been issued with sufficient time for members to read and consider it for this meeting. Providing the document to the office one clear day before the meeting and asking staff to circulate it does not remedy that defect, and it places unnecessary pressure on the team during its audit cycle. Previous emails by the chairman have asserted that members have been in possession of the exempt report since April. This is true, they have. But that's not relevant to the legal test. Supporting papers must be issued for the meeting in which a decision is being taken, with adequate time for all members to read and consider them. And this is particularly important, what is actually a very delicate balancing act between how we might proceed, and I think it's important that we read all the necessary documentation and understand the necessary documentation before we actually come to a decision. So in essence, supporting papers must be issued for the meeting at which a decision is being taken, with adequate time for all members to read and consider them. Prior possession months ago does not satisfy the public law requirement for informed decision making, and memory cannot substitute for proper circulation. I also want to be clear that any previous attempts by email to predetermine which part of an exempt report may be discussed in public session is perhaps best viewed as being procedurally unsafe. And I think we also need to bear in mind, particularly, that the building survey reports are actually fundamental to what council has been asked to discuss. And again, they have not been made available in good time. So what I'm asking for is that the item 7 is procedurally incomplete and cannot lawfully proceed. And I'd like to bring a motion that says, Chair, I move that item 7 be postponed to the next meeting cycle to allow full and proper consideration of the exempt feasibility paper and associated survey reports, which has not been circulated with sufficient time for all members to read and consider.
Is that a proposal?
Yes, it is.
Okay, is there a seconder for that proposal? Thank you. As chairman, I will speak first. There is no legal requirement for any supporting document to be provided to members before a meeting. Although there is case law, because I looked it up, where if you are making a decision of a particular type of matter, which I won't bore you all with, a judge could rule if a resident or a business took the council to court that councillors had not been given enough time to do a correct decision. Now, this council has a habit of putting papers. We had it at our last meeting for item number 7 on the agenda. Suddenly, a report appeared. So my view is, if it's okay for that, it's okay for tonight, because there is no legal reason. Every member of this council had the paper, still has the paper, and I would assume that every member of this council read it before they made their informed decision on this. We're not asking the members to consult that document this evening. We're asking them to rethink the decision. That's it. That's the proposals, to rethink the 2 decisions that were made by the council. I think I'll stop there, because I'm at risk of waffling on, but to make it clear, there is no legal obligation for the council to issue any documents. The survey there is not relevant to the decision that was made by the council, because we certainly didn't have that at that meeting. So is there any other councillors who would like to say something before we go to the vote on Councillor Ainsley's motion? I believe I have to repeat it, don't I? But I can't remember. Sorry, yeah.
So I'm confused. Is this legally brought to council or not? We've had one person say yes, and somebody else say no. If it isn't, then it's a bit ridiculous that we've all come up with this.
No.
So
it has been brought legally because our acting deputy clerk asked the LRAC, and it's been checked. Yeah, can I finish? So you was asking me the question, then I'll let you speak. So it was sent away, the agenda, and the LRAC, as you know, acting clerk told everybody of that advice that the agenda was legal.
okay.
So, and ever since then, I've received correspondence in many disputes from the timing of the agenda sent out, and in my view, I see it as being an effort to try to get us not to make this decision this evening.
Can I speak?
You may speak.
Thank you. To clarify, I sent the agenda to the chief exec of LRAC he came back and he agreed the agenda was absolutely fine and good to go. We then had a query from Councillor Ainsley about the paper submission. So I then went back to LRAC and asked them if they could further comment on that, and unfortunately they didn't come back to us in time for this meeting tonight. Right, I then checked with the locum that we have, and her advice was to defer, and I think she gave that advice to both Councillor Ainsley and Councillor Brooks. Now I can't make that decision, but that's the advice that's been given, my understanding, to both councillors. So the position is from LRAC that we could bring this to the table, the agenda was fine, and the advice from the local but that was because of the sensitivity and the amount of information that needed to be reviewed that we defer, and we've followed that exercise.
Thank you. Can I have the right to reply to your statement?
We can, no matter.
Right to reply to mine, okay. I simply want to say this is not an effort to actually put off the decision, it's an effort to actually make sure that what decision we do make is based upon the best possible information. And I think a deferral to ensure that the papers, after all, the motion that is to follow says that to consider the following decisions: the commencement of phase 1 feasibility work as described in the confidential document, sports facilities, etc. strategy. And we're asking to consider the information in there and issuing that document with some pressure from within to the members one clear day before the meeting is not satisfactory. Whatever happens, happens. But I really feel very strongly that we should be referring this for as long as, I don't mind when we bring it back, so that we can actually study the documentation in detail, and that includes the survey reports.
I've taken on board what Melanie has said, and I had a discussion before, and that's why I didn't mention what we wasn't trying to hide anything. But I don't take the view that the local clerk was giving me formal advice. I have nothing in writing, and it was during my first meeting with her that I raised this meeting tonight, and it came across as more like, just as what she said to me, if I was conducting the meeting, then I would possibly defer it. And I had no knowledge of what information she looked at, or if she looked at all. So, and I know legally that I haven't done anything wrong to bring this to council. And I've looked at the Local Government Acts and things, and I do find it extraordinary that there is no law that says that we have to bring papers in a certain time. We did not have this report at the last meeting, the large survey. We had that report, which we can't share with you tonight, and everybody has seen it. So I would like to stick as chair to my paper that I put to the council this evening, with the confidence that I know I'm not doing anything wrong. But in the meantime, unless there's any other comments, we have a proposal from Councillor Ainsley which has been seconded, and we need to vote on it. Sorry, Councillor Wadsworth would like to speak.
Well, no, all I want to say is, because we've got quite a large audience here, they might not know who LRAC is. Could somebody just tell me who LRAC is?
Leicestershire Regional I do apologise. Leicestershire, I forgot about that. Leicestershire and Local Council. So it's like a body that we go to for advice on all matters council.
And they have legally qualified people who get their advice from the National Association of Local Councils. And that's where I get most of my knowledge from. It's very useful to have legal head and copies. So anyway, is there any other council?
Can I ask a question directly?
I'm quite a relaxed chairman.
No, exactly. I'm asking whether
If it relates to this item,
Yes, of course it does.
yeah.
So what's being asked here, and what motion is actually saying is that I don't believe there's sufficient time to actually weigh up the pros and cons of this decision. And what I really want to ask you is why you feel that a week's delay is unacceptable.
Because I would just like to deal with it. I mean, we promised the residents, I didn't promise the residents, but the residents were promised by our chairman that a meeting will go ahead where we would revisit this item. And that's what I
fine.
did.
What's the problem with the week's delay? That's what I'm asking.
Well, I believe at our next meeting, we are going to have a considerable workload to get through, and I kept this to a minimum, and I would like to resolve it this evening. Because I was going to keep this to you afterwards, but if it falls, you have 6 months to go out and get proper quotes.
That's not the decision. The decision is
No,
simply
but I'm just
asking for
saying,
a
and proper consultation. So it's not like the whole thing is being scrapped.
No, it's
I mean, the other issue, as we're having a little discussion, I'll keep it brief, is also the fact is that we could have went down the road, and I was trying to do it, but I was misinformed about what the internal auditor could do with us. It is believed that the resolution that you put to council was unlawful on the basis that you asked the council to spend money based on the fact that you don't have
Chair.
work. No, I'm just saying that's why we're bringing it, because so we can't get that resolved that way. So the only way I can get it resolved is by bringing this motion this evening.
I'm quite happy to have this debated. It's just the timing that says that we haven't had sufficient time to actually.
I know, but that's what you've been telling me.
Can we not vote on the motion? And then we can move
Yes.
on to the motion, substantive motion, that would be useful, or not.
When you finish. Yes, okay, so we've had a proposal and we've had a second.
It's such a long time ago, can you just remind us what it was?
Can you please remind us of your proposal, please?
Certainly. Chair, I move that item 7 be postponed to the next meeting cycle to allow full and proper consideration of the exempt feasibility paper, which has not been circulated for sufficient time for members to even consider it given the gravity of the situation. That's the motion.
We'll have a second before that, because it is Councillor Harris. Yeah, can we have a show of hands for those who support that motion, please? Okay. And those against that motion? And those, have you got that? It's 3 of us.
Yeah.
And those who are abstaining, Councillor Nichols. Okay, so unfortunately that motion has fallen for Councillor Ainsley. So is there any other comments or questions from our members before we move on to the proposals that we have?
No.
No, so can I move on to the proposal? I did try and put this in order. I've lost the order, so I have to get it right. Otherwise we will be challenged. Okay, so we have 2 proposals before us this evening, and the first one, which I will propose, is because it's my preference. So did I have to read out this motion? Because I know it's printed off. Why we brought it, or did I miss it? No. Okay, that's fine. So the first proposal is that the council does not commence with phase 1 feasibility work as described in the confidential document Sports Facilities Feasibility and Redevelopment Strategy. Do I have a second? That's Councillor Wadsworth. Could I have a show of hands for those who support that proposal, please? I have 4 people. Would people like this recorded?
No.
No, okay.
Yes.
I'd like to record it, please.
Councillor Ainsley would like it recorded.
Yes.
Okay, so we need the names. Can you just show your hands again, please, so that.
Okay, so the 4 was me.
This is
Mr. Papwell, I've got to take that.
You've got one there.
Jonathan Nichols.
Again, Martin, still got one outstanding.
No, that's 4. They're the people 4, so you've got their names.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, right, so now it's a vote for against, please. Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you.
And then any abstentions? Councillor Harris. So that motion has passed. Right, motion number 2 is that the council does not use the £10,000 from the UK Shared Prosperity Fund or the £15,000 from general reserves to support phase 1 activities, including feasibility studies, site search, valuation, development, appraisal, planning facility, and associated professional advice.
That's not what it says. It says to reconsider using not to use.
Oh no, this is my proposals on my paper. So the proposals is what is being voted on, and it's very clear it does not. I think someone else in the agenda worded it slightly different from, but that is my, do you have a copy? You want to see it? Yeah, so I haven't changed it, so that I finished it. So I propose that.
I'll second it.
Sally Ann Rossworth will second it. Can we have would you like this one recorded as well?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. So can we have a show of hands for those who support this motion? Okay, and those against? Councillor Ainsley. And any abstentions? Councillor Harris. Okay, and that's the last one. So that was the last one, isn't it? So at this point, I have to give the date and time of the next meeting, which is the 17th of June 2026. I haven't closed the meeting yet. But I'd just like to thank everybody who has attended this evening. And hopefully some of you will come to our next meeting. Certainly the 2 new members. So at 7:47, I close this meeting.
There you go.